I talk about 1995's the much maligned post-apocalyptic Waterworld. Okay, I watched this film recently, and one of the things I noticed was there's no fish in it. I'm deadly serious. I mean, this ice caps have melted, the sea levels have risen, it's killed off most of humanity. You would think the fish have been restored, and there's a big loss for drama there and wonder. When the film opens, you get a sense of this man living in a post-apocalyptic world because it's highlighted on screen that the ice caps have melted. So there's this really deep interest to how we might sort of survived, and you see him urinating in something and um, heating it up to get the water content out of it, and then spitting it into a plant like he's recycling everything. And that's a little kiddish. We'd probably come up with something more clever. We'd just boil the seawater, if that's possible. But there could have been so many fantastic ideas for how we might have survived. And the problem I had with the film is there's two films in this. Kevin Costner's story, where he's on his own with the girl and the little girl and surviving at sea, and the question of dry land, is its own film. Kevin Costner is somber and stoic and stately, and he takes the film seriously. But when it cuts to Dennis Hopper and the kind of Mad Max aspect to it, it becomes cartoonish. And I didn't like the kind of steampunk aspect to us surviving, even though obviously we would be kind of quite ragtag and rusted. I thought it should have been a bit more clever, and that should have been kind of withheld, like the mystery of how we're surviving and why they're chasing after them. So there was kind of a problem of there was a narrative problem. I think if they reveal the fact that they're looking for dry land and there's a map to dry land way too early. I think if that had been revealed later, the sense of hopelessness, or that might have given the story a sense of hope or direction. Like, why is Dennis Hopper chasing after him? And there's a massive jet ski fight scene on the little kind of island early on, which just completely takes you out of the film. Like, your imagination is popping off with questions. How would we survive? What's left? What are we eating? And then it gets into this Mad Max thing, which becomes an absolute distraction. That's what I mean. If they had just pushed that back later on, our imagination would have settled. As a matter of fact, I bet you there's 4 hours of footage of this film. You could go in and re-edit it, and you'd make a better film. That's what I'd love to do. I know for a fact that the negatives of that are still there because they went 3 months over budget or over schedule, which means they were filming loads of stuff, and the weather was messing with the shoe. The filmmaker Kevin Reynolds had worked with Kevin Costner a bunch of times. They kind of fell out after it. I guess they just exhausted each other, or they fell out. But they worked together 20 years later on the Hatfields and McCoys. But it does hold up because there's absolutely positively nothing else like it out there. A post-apocalyptic film where the sea level has risen above water, and that in and of itself is a curiosity because it'll activate your own imagination. As you watch the film, you'll be imagining what you could do or couldn't do. The sight of sharks are missed when they could be input, but yeah, I mean, is it worth watching for kind of true film fans who haven't got around to it? Yeah, for aspiring filmmakers, it's worth watching. And I think for a lot of movie fans, given it's such a landmark in the history of cinema, the first biggest flop ever, or well, there's probably been loads of big flops, but it was the biggest flop at the time, or the biggest budget for a film at a time. I think it went up to 178 million. And a friend of mine said to me that Kevin Costner's career didn't really recover from it. And there's been retrospective reviews, people aren't as harsh on it as they were. I think just because the idea was so good, when everybody knew that going in, they did get excited. Like, this could really touch onto something really interesting. And it has the canvas of a classic, but what that classic is like, I mean, what's the human piece of wisdom you can learn from being at sea on your own? It's kind of tricky. But anyway, look, I'm going to pop a trailer on here if I've caught your curiosity. Follow me, like and subscribe, or leave comments for more films.
The future. The polar ice caps have melted, and the Earth lies beneath a watery grave. Those who survived have adapted to a new world.
What did you see out there in your 15 lunars?
Such as?
An end? An end to all this water?
You're asking the wrong person.
Pure dirt.
So what's the word? We trading or not?
And the human dream is the search for a mythical place called dry land.
It doesn't exist!
How can you be sure?
Because I sailed farther than most have dreamed. I've never seen it.
This place, this whole way of living, it's ending.
Straight line leading directly to dry land.
Dry land is not just our destination, but it is our destiny!
Universal Pictures presents a world unlike any you have ever seen. Kevin Costner, Dennis Hopper, Gene Triplehorn. Waterworld.